What's up, guys? Today we got the POCO F3 versus the iPhone 14 Pro here. The POCO F3 is a really great mid-range smartphone and very powerful too as well. So let's see how it stacks up against the 14 Pro here. So we do have the Snapdragon 870 chipset on here versus the A16 chipset on here. And you guys could check out those Geekbench scores here for yourself here. You can see iPhone definitely jumps out on the Geekbench scores. But let's go ahead and just launch a few applications and see how this translates. Let's go to phone. Pretty much the same. Chrome. Alright, pretty much the same here as well. Both super smooth phones. They both actually run at 120 Hertz for both the displays here. Super smooth and fluid here. YouTube. POCO actually jumps out, it looked like, ahead in that one. Again, super smooth scrolling here. Let's go ahead and try Subway Surf. Boom, iPhone. POCO right behind. You guys can see those displays here. So the iPhone does have a 6.1 inch display. The POCO does have a 6.7 inch display. The POCO is Super AMOLED as well, or not Super AMOLED, but it is a AMOLED panel. HDR10 plus, 1300 nits peak brightness, 1080p. It's a very nice screen as I'm looking at it. It's got a much smaller notch than the iPhone's punch hole as well. The iPhone also pretty much same specs, 1080p plus screen, 460 for the PPI. You guys can see that. Let's go ahead and get into PUBG. Just talk about these specs a little bit more. You do have 128 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM. You have 128 gigs and 6 gigs of RAM on the 14 Pro here. And let's see which one of these gets in the PUBG. iPhone in there really quickly. And it looks like the POCO is in there as well too. So both these phones actually, the POCO actually does a fantastic job with gaming performance as well, especially for the price. So it being so much cheaper than the 14 Pro, this being $1,000, and this you could roughly find well under 400 bucks. And I'm not sure, I wonder if they have the 90 frames option on the POCO yet. Yeah, it's not on here yet. A few other Xiaomi phones I have could run PUBG at 90 frames actually. You guys can see, but super smooth performance. This will hold 60 frames really easy at HDR Extreme. And it's pretty much the same thing for iPhone. It'll hold HDR Extreme 60 frames very easily here. Alright, next let's go ahead and dive into the cameras on here and check out the side-by-side stills. Let's go ahead and check out the specs first. The F3 does have a 48 megapixel standard, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 5 megapixel macro. It shoots in 4K 30, and then it has a 20 megapixel selfie cam on here that shoots in 1080p 60. The iPhone has also a 48 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, that's 3x, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It does have a macro mode as well, and then it shoots in 4K 60 on the front and back, and then you have a 12 megapixel selfie cam on here as well. Alright guys, here's the video on the F3 here. Here's our zoom up to 6x. It's 2x. It doesn't allow me to punch out to My ultra wide though. Alright guys, here's the video on the 14 Pro here. We got our 2X, 3X here. We can punch out to our ultra wide. Check out the stereo speakers on both devices. Let's see which one sounds better here. Start with the POCO max volume. Oh yeah, the iPhone just kills it in bass. The POCO is pretty loud, but it's just no comparison when it comes to the bass. iPhone just super punchy. Yeah, the POCO just doesn't have that punchy, really loud bass sound. Both speakers sound pretty good, but I definitely give it to the 14 Pro here. Also, let's talk about some other things here. The POCO does have a fingerprint scanner in the power button, which I absolutely love. It's just really effortlessly. This is my favorite method. And you also have the face unlock that you could do on the POCO. Of course, the iPhone, it only gives you that one implementation, the Face ID, which does work really well, so don't have an issue with that at all. Both of these phones do have IP ratings on them, so they both can get wet, no problem. As you guys can see, the F3 is just a much bigger device, but the iPhone definitely is way heavier than the POCO as well here. As far as the battery life experience goes on both of these phones, you do have really good battery life. The only thing about the POCO is that it does not have any type of wireless charging. It does charge faster at 33 watts, which is pretty nice. It does have a pretty big size battery at 4,520 milliamps. So this phone easily gets like 6 hours of screen on time pretty easy. And it's the same thing for the iPhone. Great battery life as well too. This has a 3,200 milliamp battery, but this also has the wireless charging as well. So be sure to let me know, what do you guys think? Would you guys go with this mid-ranger over the 14 Pro? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.